Okay.
Good.
So this is just of the bile system. So here's our liver, stomach, pancreas, duodenum, gallbladder. This is the right hepatic bile duct, the left hepatic bile duct. When they come together, this little section in here is the common hepatic bile duct. This one coming from the gallbladder over, this is the cystic duct. And then I don't think you need to know it, but this is the common bile duct. So common bile duct, cystic bile duct, common hepatic bile duct, right hepatic bile duct, left hepatic bile duct. And that's that one. Okay. Do this model. So this is the model of the kidneys. I put it on upside down because I'm cool like that. Okay, there we go. So these are the kidneys. We have the renal arteries and the renal veins, just like you learned before. These tubes that bring the urine down to the bladder are the ureters. So two big long tubes, ureters. This is the urinary bladder. And then the urethra would be the little tube that takes it from the bladder to the outside. If we scooch over to our reproductive models, these would be the female urethral external orifice, and then penis. Here we go. That would be the male external urethral orifice. Okay. Okay, now we go back to the hard part. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this model. This is probably one of the most difficult models because like all the terms are new. The model itself isn't hard, it's just annoying. Okay, so we'll try to keep it relatively simple. We're going to start on the big one. So here's your kidney. They've just taken a frontal sectioning off so we can see inside. This little indentation area here would be called the hilus or the helium. Okay, so it's where the nerve and the major blood vessels are all going to enter. I don't think you need anything else. You need to be able to differentiate between the cortex, which is this lighter in color, and then the medulla, where we get all this dark color here. So medulla, cortex. In the cortex, they want you to be able to find a couple things. So now we're going to switch over and we're going to look on this one and then on this one. They want you first of all to be able to find a renal corpuscle, which are all of these little white balls. Okay, that's the renal corpuscle. This is a renal corpuscle that's been blown up and sectioned. So you can see that this white part would be the ball that we're seeing. If we open that up, we find inside this knot of capillaries. So these are the blood system. This white part is the urine forming system. So what happens is blood comes into the kidney through the renal artery, moves through a series of arteries that you luckily do not have to learn the name of, and then comes finally to what's called the afferent arteriole. It's going to be coming in, and it comes into this knot of capillaries which we call the glomerulus, and then it goes up and out through the efferent arterioles. Here the fluid is under really high pressure, so that means lots of fluid exits the blood system and comes into this cup. This cup is called either the Bowman's capsule or the glomerular capsule. This fluid is what's going to travel through the remainder of these white tubes to form urine. What we're going to do is we're going to selectively take back from that fluid water and solutes that we want to keep, and we're going to add things to it that we want to get rid of in the body. Okay? The first system of tubes that's directly connected is the proximal convoluted tubules. Proximal because they're closest to the Bowman's capsule, convoluted because they're twisty-turny. From there, the fluid passes down through the loop of Henle, which is this big long loop that goes all the way down into the medulla. Then from there, it's going to cross into the next set of convoluted tubules, which are now the distal convoluted tubules because they're further away. Then the fluid travels down through the collecting duct, which is going to have multiple of these distal convoluted tubules dumping onto them. This whole structure that we just outlined is called a nephron. So that's what we're going to be learning about in lab. A few other things they want you to know. These structures where we would find the collecting ducts and the loop of Henleys, these are called the renal pyramids. They're part of the renal medulla. Each of them end at a little point like this guy. This is the renal papilla, so you would have many, many collecting ducts at one renal papilla. Now, if we're going to get stuff out of the blood supply, and then as I said, we're going to selectively take things back up into the body and add things to the urine, that means traveling around this duct system, we have another capillary network. We have peritubular capillaries that you can't even see on here, so we're going to remove from our spiffy list here. But the one thing that we can see is what's called the vasa recta. The vasa recta is this series of what look like, 4th of July bunting banners. They actually would sit on top of these loops of Henle. And so we're going to selectively reabsorb things back into the blood supply at the vasa recta. After we've formed all the urine up here in the nephrons, it's come down through the renal pyramid, collected at the renal papilla. It gets dumped into these cups. These are called the renal calyces, or one is a calyx. All of it collects in this big tube here at the renal pelvis, and then it goes out through the ureter. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the reproductive system. We have to do all the slides, right? We haven't done any of them?
We did just one.
Just one. Okay. We'll do male first. Okay. So, we have two different male models. We have this guy, and then we have this flat model. I'll probably pull both of them. Okay, so starting with external, we have the scrotum, which is the actual sac, and inside of that we have the testes, which are this white part in here, and then the epididymis, which runs alongside it. That's number 16. So if we were to compare here, we would see the scrotum is the fleshy sac, the testes is this part, and that is the epididymis on this model. The other portion of the external anatomy is the penis. I know that comes as a great shock. This penis, if we were to cut it open, scary, I know. The part that surrounds the urethra is called the corpora spongiosum. So this that's dark red here is corpora spongiosum. The other set of spongy tissue is shown here in white, and it looks like it has little caves inside. This is called the corpora cavernosa. This is what actually fills with blood to cause the penis to become erect. The expanded end is the glans, and then the foreskin is the prepuce. We've only got circumcised penises, and this is the only thing that we have left of the prepuce on our models. So what happens is the sperm is produced in the testes, sent to the epididymis to be stored, then it travels up and out when it's going to be released through the vas deferens or the ductus deferens, which is a system of tubes. So if we put this back together, there's a tube that runs up in here through the inguinal canal, and then here it is coming right behind the bladder. Okay? If we open this up or we look from the top, we can see part of the ductus deferens here as well. Eventually what's going to happen is that the two ductus deferens from the two testicles come together and form a short ejaculatory duct. Horrible name because it's nowhere near the site of ejaculation. It's a dumb name for many reasons. If I can pull the penis apart. Come on, Mr. Penis. Okay, well, I took them apart. So many puns, but we're not going to go with them. Here's the little bit of the ejaculatory duct where we would be envisioning the two portions have come together of the ductus deferens. Now from there, as soon as it joins together in the middle of the prostate, it's one tube now, and it goes ahead and comes out through the prostate, through the penis, all the way out. That's the urethra. So this big long tube that will come all the way out the front of the penis, that's the urethra. Dual passageway in males, both sperm and urine flow down that passageway. Now on its way the sperm is going to pick up substances that are going to turn it into semen. The first thing that it passes by is this little guy here, which is the seminal vesicle. They have two of them. They sit right on the back of the bladder. So you can see one that's been cut open here. The seminal vesicle releases stuff to help keep the sperm alive, all that good stuff. From there, it passes by the prostate gland, which is this guy, or if we look at it in cross-section, this guy. Okay. From there, it passes by a really small gland called the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland, which is number 21 on our models. Really, really small. And then it's going to head out, and now it's semen. Okay? That's males. We're going to switch over and do females now. With my enormous vagina. Okay. All right. So, lots of things for you to learn. First of all, the ovaries. So on this model, these little yellow guys are the ovaries here. On this model, this is the ovary up here. Okay? The ovary is what actually produces the egg. Once the egg is going to be released, it's released into the fallopian tubes that are also called the uterine ducts or the oviducts. Any term is fine. That's this pink set of tubes here, or these pink tubes here. The expanded end of them are called the infundibulum. And so what actually happens is the egg is released into space. Inside the infundibulum, we have cilia. They start beating wildly when the egg is released, and they draw the egg into the fallopian tube for us. The egg would then travel down the fallopian tubes to this guy, which is the uterus. It's actually folded over in women. So this is the uterus in here. The only thing they want you to know is this last part, which is the cervix. The cervix is very long. It's all this folded portion in here. It's two mouths. During pregnancy, both the internal and the external portion of the cervix close down so that nothing can get out of or into the uterus during the pregnancy. Then we have the vagina, which is this highly ridged area here. All those folds are called rugae, so same terminology that we saw in the stomach. And the vaginal orifice is the end here. This little area here is the vaginal orifice. All of the external anatomy on the female, so all of this that we're seeing in here, all of this is referred to as the vulva. It's made up of, first of all, the two major sets of lips, which are the bigger outer one that's fleshy and hairy. That is the labia majora. The thinner, more pinky sort of internal lips, which are the labia minora. It's marked in the front by the mons pubis, which is this sort of fleshy mountain at the front, which also houses the female homologue to the male penis, which is the clitoris. It does exist. Here it is. And the last thing, as we said, are the urethral orifices. Very different in females. We have two separate openings, one for the urinary, one for the vagina, and so we have a vaginal orifice and a urethral orifice, all marked within the boundaries of the labia minora. Okay, and that's it. So those are the rest of the models for this.